He hadn't seen a plane in over 20 years, until the night the storm rolled in. The radio crackled to life, and a desperate voice said, requesting emergency landing. Coordinates match your airstrip. The problem? That runway was 3,200 feet of soaked dirt, and the aircraft was a fully loaded C-17. If it landed, lives could be saved. If it failed, it would bury 3 generations of legacy in a fireball of regret. Tom Reed wasn't the kind of man who cried. But the day his father lay dying in the family farmhouse, hand trembling and eyes fogged from decades of sun, wind, and war, Tom cried. His dad served in World War II, flew cargo out of Italy, and built the old airstrip with his own 2 hands. "Don't let it disappear, son," he whispered. "Not this piece of America." Tom promised, and for 25 years he kept that vow, even as farming profits dried up, even as neighbors sold out, even when the banks circled like buzzards. Everyone said he was foolish, wasting land on an airstrip no one used. But one stormy night, a voice crackled through the static on his radio. A C-17, full of disaster relief supplies, was out of options. Only Tom's strip, forgotten, outdated, and soggy with rain, could save the mission. He lit the strip in the middle of the storm. That night, his father's legacy saved lives. Some promises ain't meant to be profitable, they're meant to mean something. The storm hit fast. Power out. Phone's dead. Tom sat at the kitchen table by candlelight when his old radio squawked. "This is Ghost Hawk 6. Repeat. Need permission to land." Tom froze. That call sign. Ghost Hawk 6. It was his brother's from Vietnam. His brother who never made it home. Turns out, the man behind the mic was his brother's son, a military pilot now. His bird was running on fumes, injured men on board. Nearest base, offline. He'd been tracking airfields when he spotted the name Reed Airfield scribbled in pencil on an old inherited flight map, and gambled it still existed. It did, and thanks to Tom's stubborn maintenance, that ghost airfield was ready. The moment his nephew stepped off that plane, Tom didn't say a word. He just pulled him into a hug, whispering, "Your daddy would have been proud." Sometimes family finds you when you least expect it, even in a storm, even from the sky. Folks in town called it Reed's Folly, a patch of dirt better suited for beans than propellers. Ain't no one flying in or out of that field but mosquitoes, they'd laugh at the diner. But Tom didn't argue. He just kept mowing it, grading it, leveling it, year after year, quietly, faithfully. Then one August afternoon, the whole region lost power. Airports shut down. Chaos spread like wildfire. A military transport carrying organ transplant equipment circled low, running out of time. They saw the dirt strip on satellite, unregistered, unlisted, but perfectly maintained. In a matter of minutes, the same folks who mocked Tom watched from the highway as a C-17 kicked up dust and kissed down on that strip like it was JFK Runway 4. Nobody laughed after that. Turns out, the thing no one values until it's needed is often the most valuable thing of all. Tom knew something was wrong when he couldn't catch his breath hauling fence posts. The doc confirmed it. His heart was failing. And fast. He wasn't just losing the farm, he was losing time. He decided to sell. The old runway would be torn up. One last goodbye to the land, the legacy, the air. Then the call came. A medevac needed a place to land, weathered out, nowhere else to go. A transplant patient aboard. Critical. Tom fired up the tractor, pulled brush, lit flares, cleared the path. The helicopter landed. The patient, his daughter, estranged for over a decade. She never told him she was sick, never told him she was waiting on a heart. But Tom's cracked runway and his own failing heart gave hers a second chance. Some repairs don't happen with hammers and nails. They happen when we're brave enough to open old doors. Tom wasn't used to company, so when someone knocked during a thunderstorm, he figured it was a neighbor with a downed tree. But it was a man in uniform, soaked to the bone. "Sir, is your runway still active?" Behind him, a military truck idled. Up in the air, a plane circled low. They'd lost communications. GPS fried. Injured aboard. Low fuel. The military needed the strip. Tom hadn't used it in years, but instinct kicked in. He lit it like his daddy taught him. The plane landed. Safe. Then the man turned to Tom and said, "My grandfather once landed here. He told me about this place. Said if all else fails, find the strip with the man who keeps it alive." Tom didn't even know the man's name, but his heart knew the honor. In a dusty attic, Tom found an envelope marked, "Do not open unless nation needs it." It was from his grandfather. Inside were hand-drawn maps, military orders, and a designation. Emergency Landing Zone Bravo 7. Turns out the strip was once a Cold War emergency site, classified, forgotten, and removed from public record. Tom didn't think much of it until a rogue drone strike during a military exercise forced an emergency reroute. And command reached out. They had records of a classified strip in this region. Tom had the coordinates. That night, under clouded skies and silent stars, the past came roaring back in a thunder of jet engines. Sometimes the history we forget is the very thing that saves us. Years back, Tom and his neighbor Hank had a falling out. A fence dispute turned lawsuit. Bitter words. Cold shoulders. For a decade they didn't speak. But then came the flood. A military plane carrying supplies needed to land, but Tom's strip was too short. Only way to extend it? Tear down the fence and level part of Hank's field. Tom walked over in the rain. No words, just eye contact. A nod. Hank opened the gate. They worked all night. The C-17 landed just after dawn, delivering food, medicine, and hope. Sometimes you need a storm and a runway to bring people back together. One solar flare. That's all it took. Airports offline. Radar gone. GPS? Dead. And in that silence, a plane full of anti-venom circled, racing against a child's life in Missouri. Every high-tech system failed except one. A dusty analog aviation chart with a handwritten note from 1965. Reed Airfield. 3,200 feet. Gravel. Trustworthy. The pilot took a gamble. And there it was, lit by headlights, flares, and the unwavering stubbornness of a farmer who refused to let the old ways die. Sometimes paper and faith beat satellites and software. Years after Tom's son died in service, the pain still lingered like winter frost on a windshield. Then a flight came in hot. Emergency landing. The pilot stepped out. Young, sharp, respectful. He pulled a dog-eared training manual from his pocket. "Your son wrote this," he said. "They still use it at the academy." Tom didn't speak. He just stared at that manual, at the logo, the initials in the corner. His son hadn't just served. He'd taught. That old strip wasn't just a runway. It was a classroom, a legacy, a launch pad for heroes. When the county condemned the strip, called it unsafe, unzoned, and unsanctioned, Tom ignored them. He mowed anyway, repaired anyway, kept it alive in secret. "Rebels like me built this country," he said. And then the unthinkable, a national cyber attack. Airports locked, planes rerouted, chaos. FEMA called, out of options. "You still got that strip?" Tom said always. That night, with nothing but fire barrels and flare guns,